If there is one genre that I will always enjoy, it has to be the beat 'em up genre. It has always had a natural multiplayer element, and taking down groups of enemies trying to surround you at every opportunity has never not been satisfying. With that being said, there is one beat 'em up that I personally feel is the greatest beat 'em up of them all, and that is Streets of Rage 2. Released back in 1992 on the Sega Genesis, it was the ultimate reason I chose the Sega Genesis over the Super Nintendo. Whether that was a mistake at the time isn't really important. As far as I'm concerned, it was the right call at that time. Anyone who enjoyed games during this era knows how serious the competition between Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo was, and Super Nintendo really got ahead of Sega with some of the arcade ports that were released on the system, a major one being Final Fight. It was not hard to tell that Streets of Rage was Sega's answer, and while the first game managed to do some damage control for the Sega Genesis, it was a sequel that really made waves. The graphics were such a huge improvement, the sprites were far more bigger and the characters were a lot more detailed. Though I was disappointed that Adam did not return, the two new characters more than made up for it. The combat system was, in my opinion, the biggest upgrade with the sequel. At this point in time, Street Fighter 2 was a big deal, and there is no doubt in my mind that it influenced Streets of Rage 2's game design in a major way. The biggest addition to the sequel, in my opinion, were the special attacks. Just like Street Fighter 2, you have the ability to cancel your basic attack in certain special moves. This and additional jump attacks in the game really added some serious depth to the combat system, which brought about some amazing discoveries during gameplay. Now, any self-respecting Streets of Rage 2 fan knows that this game would not be the incredible masterpiece it became without the amazing soundtrack that accompanied this groundbreaking experience. I'm sure you may have heard this before, but it just can't be understated that music composers dealt with some serious limitations at the time. Even to this day, the Streets of Rage soundtrack is an example of making what should be impossible, possible. As far as I'm concerned, the Sega Genesis should not have been able to produce the sort of music that we received from Streets of Rage 2. And knowing the constraints of the hardware and the effort they made to push the constraints to the limit is something that really deserves continuous praise. Now, getting your hands on this game these days is a bit more of a chore to say the least. The Genesis collection, which had Streets of Rage 2 among other great classics, has been delisted. Physical copies of the collection are still available, but it doesn't come cheap, unfortunately. While I managed to get it on Steam while it was still available, that isn't the way I've currently been playing the game. I personally prefer playing the game using the Fightcade application, where online matchmaking is available with good netcode. Fightcade uses a modified version of Final Burn Neo, which allows resolution upscaling, run ahead for lowering input latency, and additional filters if you're interested in customizing the experience. Given the game's very short playtime and having access to more characters and difficulties as well, I say there is certainly enough replay value here. Streets of Rage 2 is without a doubt one of the Mount Rushmores of the greatest beat 'em ups ever made, and if I haven't already made it clear, this is a game that you should definitely play. If you are enjoying these game suggestions, please be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing as I'm just getting started on recommendations. For now, this is the Core, your entertainment techie, signing out.